Hey y'all, it's Jennifer here, and listen, my friend Christina and I chatted about Gilmore Girls for over 3 hours, so I split this episode into two parts. What you're watching or listening to right now is part two. If you missed part one, we talked about our favorite episodes from seasons 1 through 3, so go back in the feed and watch that or listen to that first, then come here for our favorite episodes from seasons 4 through 7, and then we chat a little bit about the Netflix revival series A Year in the Life. Lots to talk about, so let's get to it.
I'm pumped. I have two beverages.
Okay, I've got a question. What does a picturesque town of Stars Hollow, generational trauma, and snappy banter have in common? Well, somehow, believe it or not, they are all key plot points in the hit TV show Gilmore Girls, and we have a lot to talk about today. It's a different episode for us, but we're going to unwrap it all on this episode of Do You Watch What I Watch? I'll let you know that this is a spoiler zone podcast. So, what is your favorite episode of season 4?
It's episode 17. Girls in bikinis, boys doing the twists.
Okay, I think that's a terrible episode, but we'll get to it. This is we're at our first crossroads. Like Lorelai and Rory are at a crossroads in season 4, we're going to be at a crossroads too, but that's okay. So when season 4 starts, like I said, Lorelai and Suki are trying to do the Dragonfly Inn thing. We see Michelle in and out, and Richard, Lorelai's dad, has a new business partner named Jason Digger Stiles. Richard was business partners with Jason's dad. They snuffed Richard out of the company basically because he was too old, even though I think Jason's dad is equally, or if not older than Richard.
Yeah.
And there was a big kerfuffle, so Richard's going to start his own insurance firm, and Jason comes over to work for him. Jason and Lorelai went to summer camps together with rich people summer camps back in the day, I guess. Their families knew each other. They had nicknames for each other, and so when she sees him again, there's some banter and some history and all of that. What were your thoughts about Jason as an intro? Because again, I'll say this, when do they eventually they start dating? I don't know when that happens in the season, but eventually they start dating. What were you, team Jason?
I was bored. I was so bored with him. I knew that Lorelai wouldn't end up with him because he was far too much like what her parents would want her to end up with. Like she would never give them that satisfaction. I do think she liked him, and I mean, especially with that history there, like, and they had good banter, some chemistry, but quite frankly, I was bored with him.
They had good banter, but he was also very business. I liked their first date because he took her to some stuffy restaurant. This was, I don't remember what episode, so I'm going off track, but he took her to a stuffy restaurant that was like really hip and cool, and she's like, oh, this is fun, but he'd booked like the private room in the back to impress her, and she was so awkward. She was like, so it's just you and me sitting here? Like, she was not into it at all.
Yeah.
They end up leaving because, again, Lorelai is selfish and it's whatever she wants. So they leave. They go through like a taco drive-through or something, and he's like, I don't really eat that food. So then they end up at a gas station somehow and to grab a couple things, and then they end up just like doing their grocery shopping at the gas station or the market, like a little supermarket,
it's like
kind
a
of
supermarket,
thing.
I think.
He gets her Pringles from the back that she really loves. He like works his charms to get her the chips she likes.
It's not it.
He's like, oh, have you ever had snowballs? I've never had snowballs before.
They didn't have snowballs at camp. I'm sure they had it at rich people camp. I think that's a lie. One time a guy took me on a first date to Chipotle, and this is what that reminds me of. Yeah.
That guy you did not end up marrying?
From go.
Did not.
Yeah.
I liked their little banter in the market. Then once they actually get together, she goes to his big nice house, and he makes her, after they're intimate with one another, he makes her sleep in another room because he's such a light sleeper. Remember? Like, they don't cuddle in bed. He's like, here, you can sleep in the guest room.
No.
He's always on calls with like Japan or whatever, talking business.
Next.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked Digger for a person. I liked his personality. I liked his dry sense of humor.
I think he fit in well with the show. I think it was a good, but it was not going to be Roy's stepdad. Yeah.
No, it was not. So between the two so far, would you have been more Team Max or Team Digger?
I was Team Max until I rewatched it again as an adult and realized how stupid and immature Max was. I mean, he was like, Lorelai, we have all these problems. I think the only way to fix it is to get married. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I was like, it's such a good thing they didn't get married. I think he was, yeah, they were just toxic. They were a bit toxic, and I think they really wanted it to work. Like, but I think also Max was maybe like it was a little bit like Nerd's Revenge. Like, obviously he's a school professor, and Lorelai is this outgoing, free spirit, beautiful woman. And he
She's
was
the
like, if
cool
I could just
mom.
bag a
Yeah.
woman like that. And he like tried
Yeah.
to bag her and hold her back, and she was like, no. And yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
The wild horse has to run every now and then, and so she did.
Yeah,
So she did.
yeah. Okay, so I can't believe you don't like this one, but it's okay.
Well, convince me otherwise.
Okay, so
Maybe I'm forgetting something.
Here's why I think this one was important to me, because like I said, I was the same age as Rory. So I was going through college. I was in my first year of college at the same time as her, and it comes around to spring break time. And I think her and Paris both had plans to just stay. I don't know if they were headed home for spring break, but they definitely weren't headed to Florida like all of their other classmates, which I started thinking, I'm like, would Florida really be the destination for like a New England college? When you go
That's a haul.
somewhere,
Yeah. And they drove, right?
and they
were
talk about
driving.
driving. Yeah, they drove through the night.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I don't really know if I believe that they would have like gone all the way, maybe like a Carolina or something. But anyway,
Yeah.
but it's very cold. Her and Paris are out trying to get people to sign a petition for Burmese prisoners or something like that, which I also think is really weird because, like we say, the Gilmore Girls are very selfish, and I was like, I've never seen Rory take on an activist role for anything, and I haven't really seen Paris do it either. So this scene struck me as odd, but I think really it was just to make them miserable in the cold New England weather, and it started raining, and they decided, hey, Florida's warm, let's hitch a ride. There's what's his face? Starts with a G. Gabe, something or other. Friend of theirs. He's driving his mom's van down. He's got extra room. There's sporty roommates going down with him because her friends left without her. And she's like always like running laps and wearing like the pants with the stripe down the side. So they decide to go to Florida. Paris insists on driving because she's a control freak, and she manages to shave like 3 hours off the drive time. So maybe that's why they went to Florida, because Paris was driving.
Paris was driving. They're like, we'll be fine. We'll actually get there before anybody else.
Yeah, we'll get there yesterday, so we're good.
Yeah.
But I think what I really love about this is, so I, again, was in college. I never did the quintessential spring break trip in college because I didn't know how to spring break. It made me nervous. And so Rory being so nervous about spring breaking and her and Paris's just kind of preoccupation with, are we doing this right, really hit home for me. And they're like out on the beach, like trying to read their books. Paris is just like throwing cash at everyone to get like the best service ever that no one has ever gotten at the Sea Sprite, which is the name of the motel they're staying at. And, it's pretty funny. And they're like, sunscreening excessively, and they're wearing like a lot of coverings and
lots of tankinis and things.
Yeah,
they're not like the typical MTV spring breaker for sure.
Yeah. But of course they run into Madeline and Louise, who are doing the quintessential spring break thing. And
that was their best or their good friends in high
from
school.
Chilton. Yeah. And they've been there for like a month. They were on extended spring break, and they like own the town, and they know all the hot clubs, and they have this like stamped routine they do with their hands to make sure they're not stamped as underage, and so they can drink at the club. And it's really admirable. Like as a
it's a lot of work.
19-year-old, I'm like, Madeline, I could have used some friends like that. I was definitely
they're majoring in spring break.
Totally,
sure.
totally. And there's a scene that I really think is hilarious when Rory and Paris are back in the motel room that night, and they're watching The Power of Myth, eating pizza, and they've got like their drinks and snacks. And I'm like, that sounds, I mean, I've never seen The Power of Myth. I probably would have picked a different movie, but like they're all kind of cozied in for the night, and they're like, I don't think we're doing it
Yeah.
right. I think we need to go
They can
out.
hear all the hijinks outside.
Yeah. And then they like peek out and someone says something stupid or does something stupid, and they're like, we could always try tomorrow. So I think I really identified with that just fear of classic spring break. And Rory has like not even a flirtation, but she like locks eyes with this same guy who looks a little bit like Jess, I think. He's got like dark features a few times, and then it like abruptly ends. But there is a part where they're at this club and Madeline and Louise are there and that guy's there, and Paris is like, we're still not doing this right. Like, let's kiss. Paris grabs Rory and kisses her. And all of a sudden, the guy that was like making eyes at Rory and had kind of disappeared is back because he saw the kiss.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what?
He's into it.
This is par for the course. This is the kind of guy you attract on spring break. Peace out. We spring break. So I think they eventually have some drinks back at the motel with Madeline and Louise, which they're kind of all just sitting around the table. They're not doing anything crazy. They're kind of in good, safe company. And I think that's a good like rite of passage scene. You know, your first drink. But the big thing about this episode for me is that Madeline starts asking about Dean because she always thought he was just so cute, and even like kind of makes a pass at him at the dance in the dance episode I talked about. And she drunk dials Dean. And Dean has since been married to Lindsay, and Madeline's like, no, Rory, that's not right. He only had eyes for you. It's not going to last. And she calls it right there, and then calls Dean, and Rory's kind of forced to leave this kind of rambling message for Dean, like, oh, I'm sorry, ha ha ha, you know. And so the episode ends with her being back at Yale. They've left spring break early, using Paris's frequent flyer miles. But Dean returns her. Dun dun dun.
He's like, tell me about your trip. Tell me more about the spring break.
And Dean is married.
Yeah.
Dean is married.
Dean's very much married. Yeah.
So I love that episode. Yeah, I love it.
Okay, those parts are good. To me, I just always think about like the club scene and like the really long sequence of the band. Who was the band?
Why is the band sequence so? What band was that? I didn't even look it up. Maybe their contract said their manager was like, only if they get like a full 2 minutes on screen can they do this episode.
Because
it really
just
was
goes on
excessively
too
long.
long.
You're so right.
And I didn't really like Rory's roommates in college besides Paris, so I didn't care about Janet. I didn't care about the weird guy friend. So again, and there was hardly any Lorelai, and that bums me out. So
right,
it's not my favorite, but you're right. It is a very important episode. I forgot Madeline and Louise are there too. They're a fun time.
And I forgot to mention back before at the beginning of the episode, before they've even decided to go to Florida, we get a classic Paris quote because they run in from the rain and there's these other girls in the hallway and they say, "Is it raining?" Paris goes, "No, it's National Baptism Day. Tie your tubes, idiot." And you're like, that's just an all-time Paris quote. So we also have that quote in this episode, which I feel like you can't.
Paris has no time for these losers. Yeah.
I love
she is so much better than most of them.
She's so blunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I will say, once we get to college, Rory and Paris are mostly in lockstep as friends. They end up being roommates because Paris has a life coach that kind of orchestrates.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about
that they're going to be roommates. And Rory's like, oh, I'm stuck with her. Oh, my gosh. And like,
so funny.
There's a whole thing earlier in the season where Emily, like, swaps out all the furniture in their dorm room to this really
makes
fancy
it like super bougie. Yeah.
Yeah, because Emily just can't help herself. But yeah. So season 4 ends. Episode 21 is when Luke's sister is getting married, and it's a Renaissance themed wedding in Stars Hollow because she's from there too. She comes back. Jess is there. He walks Liz down the aisle. Luke asks Lorelai to be his date because he's realized, like a couple episodes before, that he actually likes Lorelai. I don't know why it took him so long to acknowledge this, but he's like trying to figure out how to
He's been doing odd jobs for her for years. No big deal.
Yeah, and they're both finally single because
the timing.
Because Lorelai and Digger had broken up because there was something with Richard's firm. Richard thought Digger was like stealing clients from his dad, and Digger's dad was going to sue Richard's company. So Richard basically was like, Digger, I'm ousting you from the company because I can't have a lawsuit on my hands. And then Digger was like, hey, your dad fired me. That's not great. So Lorelai and Digger have broken up leading up to this. Luke's single as a Pringle. He realizes he likes Lorelai. He asks her to the wedding, and they have this great dance sequence to the song called Reflecting Light by Sam Phillips, who does a lot of the la la soundtrack throughout. And it just pans around and you can see her like, oh, this is Luke. Like, and then in the next episode, she tells Rory, Luke can waltz. Luke can waltz. And Rory's like, how did you just say Luke can waltz? Yeah. And Luke has always been like this father figure to Rory in town. And like, of course, she loves Luke like that, but they just never occurred to them that maybe they could date. What is this? We had this great time at the wedding, but now what? And then the final episode of season 4 is Lorelai and Suki and Michelle opening the Dragonfly Inn. And so as a test run, they've invited all of their townie friends and Lorelai's parents to stay at the inn to see like what bumps might be there that they need to work out. So we get a lot of townie stuff there. Dean's been helping fix up the inn for it to open. So Rory's kind of seen him around the inn again. They've kind of exchanged some flirtation, even though Dean's married. And Digger shows back up at the night and is like, I'm proud of you for opening this inn. I want to get back together. And she's like, no, I'm trying to open my inn. And then Luke sees her talking to Digger and thinks, that they're back together, and he gets all jealous. And then they kind of end up at the end of the episode of the season, they are fighting on the front porch because Luke's like, I brought you flowers and I asked you to be my date. I thought there was something here. She's like, there is. And so they finally, Luke and Lorelai kiss. And it's such a good kiss that he goes in to kiss her and she pulls back and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, will you just stand still? And then they flip it and she kisses him to retaliate. And he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, will you just stand still? And they kiss. And it's so good. And then Kirk has night terrors and runs out of the inn naked. And Luke's like, I gotta go deal with that.
Someone has to take care of Kirk.
Because of course but I'm coming back. Like, be right back. Then Lorelai had sent Rory home to their house to get some CDs so they could have music at breakfast the next morning or something. And Dean shows up at their house and Rory loses her virginity to Dean while he's very much married in her childhood bed. This is my favorite. I mean, just so much happens, and like good, bad, and otherwise. But again, we have the townies and Taylor Dosey, the town selectman's all upset because like, Lorelai, these are the things you need to fix. So he's doing his thing. Richard and Emily are there, and they fought because once Richard fired Digger, Lorelai got mad and was like, I'm not coming around anymore, because that's what she does like once a season. She decides she's not coming around anymore. So Emily is like, Richard, you need to fix this. So they're at odds, but Lorelai makes them come to this thing because they weren't admitting that they were at odds. And so then Richard and Emily are having a tiff. And it's just like the whole series to this point
kind
is
of in
culminating in this
chaos.
episode.
Yeah. Everything kind of blows up.
It does. So how do you feel about Luke and Lorelai getting together? Were you team Luke?
Yes. Like, finally. She'd been treating him like a boyfriend with no benefits since season 1.
Yeah.
And I'm like, geez. Like, totally. So I didn't know. I mean, I just felt like all the timing things were just so dumb. I know that timing has to be right, especially in a TV show, but I was like, this is not even believable anymore. We need to just go ahead and let them get
together. They held off as long as they could to get them together.
They drug it out long
it's the end of the 4th season. We got to finally, like, who knows, because this show was not as popular then as it is now. So they never really knew, I don't think, if they're going to get another season. So I can imagine. This is just, me imagining that they were probably like, okay, yeah, we need to do this because this is what the people want. It's like the Ross and Rachel of it all. Like, will they, won't they,
carrying
back and forth and all this business. Yeah. There always has to be that, right? At least back then there was. So they finally get together. What are your thoughts about Rory and Dean? Was that satisfying to watch?
It's really, like I said, once she moved on to Jess, I really felt like we'd outgrown Dean. And there's just nothing that we needed to revisit it, which I'll talk about in my favorite episode in the next season. But it's just, aside from it just being kind of like morally wrong. And,
Mhm.
we all felt bad for Lindsay because she really got the short end of the stick. I just don't even, I think it was just because he was comfortable, but I'm like, girl, you were at an Ivy League school. Like, why are you going backward? And why would he be the one? I just
Yeah.
thought
Well,
it was
she had been
really
unlucky in love in
eh.
college because it was kind
Oh,
of
I'm
like,
so sorry. She's a freshman. Like, give it some
a
time,
fish in a big
girl.
pond. Yeah, small fish, big pond,
Yeah.
or whatever.
And
And
she
she'd
was
gone
used
on
to
like
being a
one
queen
or
of the
two dates.
town. Yeah.
Right. She was nobody, and she was a freshman and socially awkward. And so I think she'd gone on a couple dates, or at least I know one date she went on with that guy. I remember she talked about urine mints.
You're
Like she
in
didn't know
nuts.
how to
You're
small
no
talk.
You're
Yeah.
in mint. I was like, was it nuts or mint?
And yeah, because oh, don't touch the mints in these
And there was a
restaurants because there's urine
draft. She
hands
kept
on it.
saying, Lorelai
And
was
there was a
telling her to
draft.
talk
She
about
didn't know
the
where to
draft and
sit.
she could move.
So she was terrible at dating. So I think all
Yeah.
that had happened, and all the roommates had kind of given her a hard time, like, Rory, not much changed with you this year. We all had all these moments, and you kind of haven't even dated anybody or anything. And she got in her head, and
Yeah.
then Dean was there
But
working on
that
the
wasn't the
inn
way
and
to
working on
like
some other stuff
shake
then too.
things up with a married.
No. Yeah.
And I think the conversation that ensues between Lorelai and Roy after Roy tells her what happened, I really admired the way that Lorelai handled it. So I think that's a
Yeah,
great
because Lorelai comes
mom
home and
moment
is like,
for
hey, where
her.
are those CDs, girl? And
Roy's like, CDs? I don't see.
bed is ruffled. And she's like, Dean was just
It was
getting
hard to
something. And she was like, oh, what did Dean get? And then she lays into her, but in a respectful way. You're right. But she was like, Rory, he's
Yeah.
married. She's like, it doesn't matter. He's Dean. He's my Dean. And she was like, but he's married. She's like, well, he took the ring off. Rory.
Like, ick.
Oh.
Why is she morally bankrupt all of a sudden? Like, I don't think Lorelai, and I think Lorelai's
Yeah.
kind of horrified that, this is
Mhm.
the daughter she raised. But I think Lorelai stays so clear on her messaging as a mom. And I'm like, well done. Well done. I mean.
But also, in season 2, Lorelai hooked up with Christopher, and he was still halfway
Well.
dating Sherry.
The apple doesn't fall.
Yeah. So Rory storms out because she's so offended that Lorelai called her on her business because they're so entitled. And she calls Dean on her flip phone or whatever. And Lindsay answers. And she hangs up and just starts sobbing. And Lorelai embraces her on the porch. And because regardless of if she agrees with her or not, she's still going to be there for her daughter.
Still
and
her
then
mom.
the season ends.
Yeah.
So good. So good. All right, so season 5 begins. So we got Luke and Lorelai are dating. Rory is a marriage wrecker, and we're back at Yale. What is your favorite episode from season 5?
I chose episode 7. You Jump, I Jump, Jack.
Solid. That was one of mine, so I will pick episode 13, Wedding Bell Blues.
Okay.
So you go first. You can talk about Logan.
Logan.
Are you team Logan?
Okay. Well, when I was prepared for this question, I think with where I was at in my college career, not in relationships, but just where I was at in college, and I could kind of appreciate what Logan brought to the table. I'm not saying he was amazing, and he could definitely be a jerk, but I was like, why are we fighting this? I would date a Logan if a Logan showed up. So in this episode, she is dating Dean. They are together. His marriage has ended.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And
yeah.
the episode starts with them trying to cobble together an hour or two here and there to meet for some sad dinner off an interstate exit. And it's just, and Dean's leaving her voicemails I'm working 3 jobs. One day, hopefully I'll just have 1 job and this will all be easier. And they're playing phone tag, and Roy's working at the paper, the Yale paper, and she's chasing this story about this secret society called the Life and Death Brigade. So she's halfway trying to maybe make plans with Dean. They keep canceling. And it's just the foil is so good here because it starts out with her, like you said, they've kind of dumped Dean down and made him kind of country boy. And with 3 odd jobs, all he can do hit a hammer or hit a nail. Like they did him kind of dirty.
He didn't have a car because Lindsay got the car when they split, I think. So I think Rory
But
was
that
having to
sounds
like
right.
drive back to Stars Hollow. I think that was
Right.
part of it too.
Right.
Yeah. And and it was
So
like so messy. Their break or the way it all ended and came out that
yeah,
they'd slept together was like a whole drama thing. And
everyone
like
knew.
Lindsay's mom is attacking Lorelai and Rory in the town square. That was all
Yeah.
drama earlier in the season. Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Yes.
you're right. They got together. I almost forgot they got back together.
I mean, thank goodness
For
though.
a
I mean,
little bit.
after all that, like,
Yeah.
I guess they had to like they hadn't sufficiently beat that dead horse. So they had to just
Mm-hmm.
finish it off. But their relationship's just kind of like in the pits, I think. I don't know. It seems super lame to me. And then she gets this lead on this secret society called the Life and Death Brigade that's been at Yale for generations, through Logan Huntsberger. And I forget how they introed him into the series officially, because in this episode they kind of already have a rapport. I think maybe did they just work at the paper together?
He worked at the paper, but also
But halfway
she was
work.
friends with a guy named Marty, and
Through
Marty
Marty.
catered events. And
Okay.
Marty had a crush on her, but she did not reciprocate.
I
But Marty
remember
catered
that.
events to make money. He catered a Logan event and had run into Logan and his nerdy or like goofy rich bros in the quad or whatever.
Right.
So she'd kind of seen him. And yeah, he's supposed to be working at the paper because his dad runs a paper. His
Right.
dad, has
He's like a
the
publishing
dynastic
titan,
plan of his
like-
future. Yeah. And Logan didn't want to be there. So Logan does like the bare minimum, like shows up in the newsroom and just falls asleep. Like super smart guy, super charismatic, attractive guy, the whole world in front of him. But he just wants to like goof off and be college bro and date a bunch
he's
of girls
entitled.
kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
But
much. Yeah.
he's a little Rory curious. So he agrees to let Rory kind of ride along on a Life and Death Brigade event that they're throwing that weekend. And again, as I said, the foil is just so great here because she's sitting here trying to plan some sad dinner at a Denny's with Dean, and Logan
Denny's with
literally that's good, right? Logan literally sweeps her off her feet and like kidnaps her, has her show up with a blindfold on so she can't tell where they're going, and takes her out to the middle of nowhere, which is, I mean, if that happened in real life in college, like that would be really scary. I would
Right. That's
yeah,
more of a
that's
Lifetime movie.
that's a different
but
show
yeah.
or movie. But
Yeah.
it's definitely a Lifetime. Yeah. But they end up in this like really just kind of magical looking setting where I don't even know like who set up for this event. How did they get the pipe and drape people and the tent people and the catering in? Who knows? These people are so wealthy.
Because it's like a safari, like out of Africa
they
theme.
set out this like beautiful setting in the woods in a clearing, and they're merrymaking and they have champagne and delicious food, and everyone's being kind of weird, and they have these like weird like word games they play, and it's all very mysterious, but Rory's just taking it all in, and she's not getting very much from people, but Logan's kind of there checking in on her. And then the next morning they wake up and there's supposed to be a big bang at the event, like the big, what do they even call it?
Like a stunt finish.
Stunt. Yeah.
Last two Raw.
So they're doing all these
thing.
they're doing
because these are all just rich entitled kids with mommy and daddy's money.
Archery,
and they're just like yeah. They're just vibing,
underwater
like
basket weaving and counting their money. And
yeah. If it wasn't on CW or WB, it would have been like lots of nefarious things, substances, and alcohol involved. But they're just like high on life because it was still PG. Yeah.
Right. They're keeping it clean for the fam. They really are.
Yeah.
But the big stunt is that they're gonna jump from like, I don't know, Rory said it's like 7 stories. They have to climb up a ladder and then they have to jump Mary Poppins style, holding an umbrella. And Logan talks her into it, he also does the like classic 2000s rich guy, cool guy move where he has provided her with a beautiful dress to wear. while doing it.
Right.
Because
And of course it fits her perfectly and
well,
looks
he's got an eye for
amazing.
dress sizes, Jennifer. You know, like he's so smooth.
He did say that.
He's
Ooh,
so
yeah.
smooth. But like,
Yeah.
and Dean's, you know, what's he doing in Stars
Not.
Hollow? We don't even know. Eating at
He was like
Denny's. It's
stirring the
just
nacho cheese at Dosey's Market, I think, in one scene. Like literally, I think that's how mighty we have fallen with Dean. That he's literally like wearing a
really,
cowboy hat. Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
bad.
it's just such a stark contrast. And they have this jump together. So they're like trauma bonded because they almost died jumping on. They've got like these little harnesses and an umbrella, but she jumps with
They were
Logan.
harnessed. They were fine. They didn't
And
almost die, but yeah.
yeah, but it looks a little iffy. But I will say, backing up to the dress, because it's a part of the integrity of the event. He's like, you can't mess with the integrity of the event. You can't wear your turtleneck sweater. Go back in your tent. She finds this dress, and then as they're walking toward the like scaffolding that they're going to jump from, his hand guides her on the small of her back. And I feel like that was not an accident. That's the moment where we start to see him being a little bit more romantically interested, more overt about it. And she's clearly kind of, I don't know if she's smitten by him necessarily, but she's the last scene is her back at Yale, kind of digesting all her notes, typing, and finally getting back to Dean after she's been MIA for 2 days. But she's had this experience now with Logan, and it's big, and I don't think she can ignore him anymore.
No. And he like slid printed pictures of the stunt, like them jumping
Yeah.
off under
So
the door.
sweet.
And
So
he'd
good.
said like some great
a
line that
bottle of
gets quoted all the time.
champagne.
I don't remember exactly, but it's like you can spend 100 minutes that are ordinary. I'm butchering it, but basically like what is it? You know that like
what you're talking
basically
about.
take this moment
You
or you'll
can,
regret it kind of
yeah,
feel.
and never
And she's like,
live, or
okay, yeah.
because
And then
Rory's always
then when they
scared
jump,
and
they have.
timid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They jump and they say in omnia paratus because that's what the
Mhm.
Life and Death Brigade says. And people get tattoos and it's on notebooks. It's like a big Gilmore Girl like fandom thing.
Mhm.
This episode is very pivotal for that. So, yeah, Rory's got Dean stirring cheese on one side and Logan taking her on an exotic secret getaway and buying her dresses on the other. So, we'll see what happens. Well, I'll tell you what happens. The next episode is called The Party's Over. It's not my favorite, but I will mention real quick. Emily does not like that. Richard and Emily don't like that Rory's back with Dean. Okay. They didn't like Dean the first time around. They definitely don't like Dean, the divorcee 2.0. So they concoct a plan to break them up by organizing a party for all of their Yale friends and the sons. Where basically Rory doesn't know it.
Bachelor.
Yeah, Rory just thinks it's a party for her parents' friends. They want her to be there. They go, and she's the only one. They've got her in like this ball gown and a tiara, and they parade her around because all the guys, all these kids are there, and they're all eligible bachelors, like you said. And she catches on. She's like, "Oh no!" And she calls Lorelai, and Lori's like, "I can't believe my parents did this, but of course, yes, I can." And Logan's there, and Logan's Life and Death Brigade friends are there, and they all sneak out to Richard and Emily's pool house with booze. So it's all this room of guys plus Rory just cutting it up. She's queen of the ball. And Dean shows up at Richard and Emily's. I guess maybe he got a car by this point to pick her up. And they were supposed to meet. She's like, I'm just going to go for a little bit. He gets there to pick her up and can't find her. And turns out she's lollygagging in the backyard. And he's like, what are we doing, Rory? Like, we're in 2 different seasons. Like, I can't give you this life. And he breaks up with her publicly again in front of all these rich people in the driveway at Richard and Emily's because Dean loves a public breakup.
A little bit of a villain.
When somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Believe them, Rory. But she did this to herself. She made her bed. She's gonna have to lie.
She did. And so then, of course, Logan and his buddies are there to console her and get her mind off of it. Then they get one. I guess Logan had a limo because they're not going to drive drunk. So they get the limo to drive Rory back to Stars Hollow and drop her off in the front yard where she comes staggering out of this limo with all these guys. And Lorelai looks out the window just like mortified because Rory's catching feelings for a guy who she'd heard about at this point. This kid named Logan, who is from the world that she left behind, right? Lorelai did everything she could to get Rory away from this world of privilege and entitlement and money. And now Rory is falling into that. And what are we going to do about it? So Richard and Emily were still at odds over the whole Digger Corporation thing of it all, but they eventually make up and they decide, hey, we're going to renew our vows. And that leads me to my favorite episode of this season, episode 13, Wedding Bell Blues. Lorelai and Rory feel obligated to give Emily a party on the night before Richard and Emily renew their marriage vows. Terrible synopsis. So Richard and Emily are going to renew their vows. Rory was going to be Richard's best man, and Lorelai is going to be Emily's maid of honor, and it's super cute. I think this was the 100th episode. I feel like I heard that at some point. And so it was a big to-do. You know, they basically, Richard and Emily, because they're entitled, kick out whoever had rented this venue and paid them off so that they could renew their vows in this space. I think it's the same place that Rory had her cotillion dance earlier in an earlier season too, when she had a coming out thing. But it's this big ballroom. Everything, like the set pieces are all way over the top, more than usual that we get on here. Luke's going to come to the wedding, but Emily doesn't like that Lorelai's with Luke. So she meddles and tells Christopher, the baby daddy, who is now separated from Sherry. Oh, no. Did they ever get married? Did he marry Sherry? Or they were just together with the baby?
I think they were just...
Basically, Sherry left at some point.
Because she was a career woman.
She went to Paris and left Christopher with this baby, basically. And so Emily, so Christopher pops up in and out throughout the whole series, but Emily always liked Christopher, even though he's the one that got Lorelai pregnant, which is the whole reason they had a feud in the beginning. But she always liked Christopher.
I think they liked him in hindsight.
Yeah, I think they like the idea of him because his family came from money and this, that, and the other and whatever. But she invites Christopher to the vow renewal and says, if you don't make a move on Lorelai, she's going to get married to this diner owner, which is so beneath them. And so when I said Emily has a good heart always earlier, I lied, because Emily does stuff like this. And I'm like, come on. I think she, in her mind, she means well, but she does not go about it
she doesn't want Lorelai to be poor and we're married to a diner. She thinks it's better to set her up for a life of luxury and money. But she really does believe that in her core. Yeah. Right. Luke gave Lorelai money to finance opening the inn. Yeah. Luke's loaded. He just lives a more simple lifestyle. Anyways, so she's like, Christopher, you need to come to the wedding and put a stop to this Luke and Lorelai stuff. So at the reception, Christopher gets hammered and takes off to Lorelai and is like, you and me should be together. We all know it. Emily knows it. And she's like, Emily, what are you talking about? And Luke's hearing this and he's mortified. Meanwhile, Logan's family is in Richard and Emily's circle and Logan's at the wedding. And Rory puts the moves on him. Is like, are you going to kiss me? Are we going to date? What are we doing? He's like, Rory... Basically, he's a playboy. I don't date. I'm not a boyfriend guy. I think you want a boyfriend. She's like, no, I don't. She does. But she says she doesn't. She just wants to see where it'll go, whatever. They go to a side room and almost take off their clothes. I know.
When Lorelai is trying to find Rory because they needed a family photo. Richard and Emily wanted a family photo. She opens the door, find Logan and Rory, and she's like, oh my gosh, Grandma wants a picture. And Rory's like, of this?
Rory's like disheveled.
No. Yeah. And then drunk Christopher and Luke come barging in because they both think they're the father figures to this girl and are, mad at Logan. Logan takes off running and they're like, then they fight with each other like, Lorelai should be mine while she's with me, blah, 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 blah. Mad chaos and drama. And then when Lorelai realizes it was Emily's doing why Christopher was there, and it was because she wanted Christopher to wedge between Luke and Lorelai ends the episode taking the family picture, like arms crossed, scowl, and she's like looking at Emily and she's like, you and me, we're done. And Emily's like, ugh. Yeah. And fade to black. So good. So good. Oh, because Luke left too. Luke's like, your parents don't want us to be together. Like, why? I can't keep up with this. I can't keep up with the Gilmores. Drama.
It is. And she's a 30-some-odd-year woman whose parents are still meddling that heavily in her romantic relationships. Just terrifying.
Yeah, so Luke and Lorelai end up breaking up for a while. It's very sad. Then what else happens this season? Rory and Logan end up dating. They do begrudge. He's like, I don't know if I can be a boyfriend, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it the old college try. And he ends up taking Rory to a family dinner to introduce her to his family. And the dad's not there, but the rest of the family is. And they treat Rory like crap. They treat her like she's
Yeah.
stirring cheese nachos at Dosie's Market. Like, because
Exactly.
there's, like that she's such a lower class than them, even though like they all
There's
come from the
Gilmore
same
money, but there's
economic circle,
Huntsberger
but
money. Yeah, it's just
there's
not enough.
Huntsberger money, and you have to pick a woman who's basically going to take on the fortune and lead the way
Yeah.
and blah blah blah. And they're saying all this in front of Rory. And Rory is like, but I'm a Gilmore. Literally, there's an episode called But I'm a Gilmore. And it doesn't go well. Then Logan's dad, Mitchum Huntsberger, who owns this paper, he's this big conglomerate, whatever guy, he reaches out to Rory and was like, hey, do you want an internship at my newspaper? And she, of course, says yes. Now, he's only doing it really to try to save face because he knows that his family acted a darn fool.
Mm-hmm.
All the while, I don't think Lorelai had met Logan. Well, I guess she met him at the vow renewal, but she doesn't really know Logan that well. She just knows what Rory has told her, and Rory told her how terrible the dinner was. But then Rory's like, oh, no, it's all good. It's all better. So Lorelai's not big on Logan or the Huntsbergers. She's like, I don't know about this internship, Rory. I don't know how this is going to go. But she takes the internship, and she gets a performance review from Mitchum. And Mitchum's like, you just don't have it, kid. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sure you're nice and everything, but you're just not really performing. Like, I wanted you to take charge in that meeting. I threw something to you and you didn't speak up. And she's like, well, I didn't know I could. And he's like, exactly. His expectations were really high and she was not meeting it. So he lets her go. He does not give her a job. Rory, like you said earlier, crashes out and
Royally.
decides that she's gonna pout and go find Logan, who was at an engagement party for his sister on a yacht somewhere. And she's like, hey, I want to take off on a boat tonight. And he's like, none of these boats are ours. To be fair, Logan tries to talk her out of this stunt, and Logan's king of the crazy stunts, but he's like, I don't know. And she's like, I just want to take to the sea. And they steal a boat
Grand Theft Yacht.
and go gallivanting away. And then Lorelai gets the call that Rory's in jail and has to go bail her out, and she's mortified. All the while, Logan's buddies, his goofy buddies, are bailing him out, and they're just like, she's, just like, this guy, he's just like all jokes. He's just yucking it up. Meanwhile, you have a record now. What are we doing? And then Rory declares she's not going back to Yale the next semester for her final year at school because she doesn't know who to be. She's not a journalist. She's not cut out for it. All because Mitchum said she doesn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What are your thoughts on all this?
So, as an adult now, in hindsight,
yes, and a mother,
I even back in college, I get being shaken up by someone like Mitchum Huntsberger saying you don't have it, and it's something that you've dreamed of your whole life. I would not leave college because of it. I would maybe reconsider my major and do a little soul searching.
Right. Maybe diversify. Right. Maybe diversify the
and start to ask
bit.
myself some questions. But I wouldn't steal a boat. I might go out and do a little drinking with my, ritzy boyfriend, let him buy the champagne that night, but I wouldn't steal a yacht. I wouldn't leave Yale, and I wouldn't move into the pool house at my grandparents' house. I wouldn't do all of that. So, and I don't know, and is that really even in line with the Rory that we felt like we knew at the time?
It was
I don't
very
even know that it was like
uncharacteristic.
on character for her. Which maybe that was just to reinforce how lost she was. But like, you can do stupid stuff and be lost without being, acting like you've had a lobotomy and like doing just the most ridiculous
I
thing.
liked when she was when she got home, Lorelai was obviously upset. She'd been in the slammer, but like she'd printed off her mugshot. Like she was trying to make light of it. Like, okay, this was a mistake. We'll figure it out together. And
Right.
Rory basically is like, no, we're not going to figure it out. I'm not going back to school. Like, and she's like, I don't think you need to be around Logan anymore. And she stands 10 toes down, like, no, I'm still going to be with Logan. Logan can get me a good lawyer. And Lorelai's like, no, I can get you a lawyer just fine. Like, we're not involving the Huntsbergers. The
Yeah,
Huntsbergers
we
are
don't
why
need
this happened
them
to
to
begin
fix this
with.
problem. Right.
Yeah. And I don't even know at this time if Logan knew what his dad had said. I don't think he knew yet.
I don't think he did.
He just knew she'd had a bad day or whatever. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, it's very tumultuous. So we start season 6, and Lorelai and Rory are at odds because, yes, does season 5 end with Rory moving into the pool house? Because Lorelai goes to Richard and Emily and was like, hey, Rory says she's not going back to college. Like, can you all help me? Can we talk some sense into her? The Huntsbergers are bad people. And they're like, what? And she's like, yeah, they're terrible. They said all these things. And they're like, yeah, it's not happening. Let's have a sit down. We'll get Rory back on board. But before they can have their Friday night dinner as a united front, Rory gets there and cries in Richard's arms and is like, I've screwed everything up. And he's like, there, we'll figure it out, which is a very sweet grandfather-granddaughter moment. So, but then when Lorelai shows up for Friday night dinner at the end of season 5, Rory and Richard and Emily have figured out that's okay. She needs to take some time off because they're easily persuaded. And we'll just let her move into the pool house because she's so mad at Lorelai for giving her the business. She doesn't want to go back home to Stars Hollow. And Lorelai is upset and feels betrayed by all of them, and she's lost her daughter. And then she goes, remember, of course, the end of season 5, she crashes out and goes to Luke's and proposes to Luke.
Oh,
that's the end of season 5.
Yeah.
In a very low cut dress that honestly I'm surprised made it on the network. We were a deep wide V. Okay.
I've got to look this up.
It could have gone awry. It could have gone awry very quickly. And I think that's how it ends. She says, Luke, will you marry me? And he goes, what? Like fades out. Huh? I thought you wanted a burger. What? Because they make Luke worse too throughout the series. They make Luke dumber too.
Like a grunt. Yeah, he just does grunt. He just flips pancakes and scrambles eggs and.
So season 6, tell me what your favorite episode is. I will say season 6 is overall my least favorite season in the series. Okay. So season 6 is tough for me.
Mine is episode 8. Let me hear your Balalaikas ringing out. I don't know.
Okay.
How you say it.
Lorelai and Rory are at odds. They're hardly in the same scene together at this point. Luke and Lorelai are engaged. The town finds out. And of course, Lorelai doesn't want a new house with Luke because she likes her house, because she likes her Jeep. It's all about what Lorelai wants. So they decide they're going to get the town contractor and Luke are going to fix up her house to add on to it to accommodate Luke. And for a while, Rory doesn't even know that her mom's engaged because they're not talking. Rory finds out because she stumbles into the diner one night wanting to talk to Luke, and he mentions it and spills the beans. I don't like when my girls are fighting, okay?
Yeah.
Not happy about it.
It's a dark period. It's a dark time. And
it is.
Everything's kind of weird, and yeah, you can definitely feel it. I think they do a good job of making you feel that way as you watch this season because everything just feels kind of out of place, and yeah, things are off. Things are off with everyone.
Yeah. Rory's not in school, so Emily's got her. Oh, she gets tried. She goes to trial, and the Richard's fancy lawyer doesn't get her off. She has to do all this community service. So she's like picking up trash with angry youths, and Emily's telling her how to trade for drugs or whatever, or trade cigarettes and stuff, which is funny. But she's moved into the pool house. Rory and Logan are, top notch together, I guess. They're thick as thieves. Then Suki's kids have a christening, and she makes Rory and Lorelai come to the christening. They're both godmothers, so that was her way of orchestrating them to be back together in Stars Hollow. But it's just a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah.
Rory ends up being a part of the DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution, which was always Emily's jam, with all these old biddies, and Rory's in it and leading things and planning events because what else does she have to do?
Right.
And then Rory turns 21. And she does she invites Luke, and tells her to invite Lorelai to her own birthday party. So they do see each other at Richard and Emily's for Rory's 21st birthday party. But they had these big plans to do 21 things at when the clock struck whatever time, and none of that happened because they're still on the outs with one another. My favorite one, I had two, but my favorite one was We've Got Magic to Do, episode 5, because this is the one where Rory is organizing the party for the DAR fundraiser thing for Emily, and it's USO themed, and she's taking charge. At the end of this episode, we get we get some good towny stuff too. But Logan's mom shows up at the event and hadn't RSVP'd. They didn't have a table for her, and Emily's freaking out. Rory, how did you mess this up? And Rory's like, she didn't RSVP. And Rory starts to almost hyperventilate in the kitchen because Shira, that woman, Logan's mom, who made her feel, so tiny, is here and berating her. And Emily's like, no, we'll figure it out. While they're trying to figure out where to sit Shira, Richard runs into Mitchum Huntsberger in the bathroom, bro talking it up. And then he's like, Mitchum, what happened with that paper of yours? And Mitchum was like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Richard, but she just doesn't have it. Richard, you crushed that girl. How dare you say that about her? She's my granddaughter. He's like, I could be wrong. I've been wrong in the past, but in my experience, she doesn't have what it takes. Richard walks out and is fuming, tells Emily, Lorelai was right about everything. The Huntsbergers are bad people. The Huntsbergers are why this happened. And Emily's like, just go outside for a minute. And then she turns. And dear listener, if you need to watch YouTube, because she has her target set on Shira Huntsberger in the middle of this charity event publicly, which the Gilmores would never do. And she sachets over to Shira and is like, oh, I'm sorry, Shira, here's the table you should have had. Sorry for that oversight. And is talking like this, and then just lays into her like, you're a 2-bit from Texas or whatever, like
town or wherever. Yeah.
Yeah. I know we all know Mitchum's still we all know Mitchum's still a player. Well, you know that. That's why your weight goes up and down every 3 months. And you don't think we don't know the reputation Logan has. We do, but he's still welcome in our home anytime. As I'm sure Roy will be welcome in your home too, because we come for money. We all come for money. And Shira had the nerve to tell her, well, there's your money and there's our money. And Emily was like, and she just lays into her so well. If I wouldn't get copyright struck, I would insert the scene right here.
Yeah, I wish we
because
could
it is
just do like the audio.
So
even.
good.
It's amazing.
I might be able to like put a little bit over because
like
it is
a
just
link.
Oh my gosh. It is a masterclass in bitter
Killing,
Betty and petty Betty.
Killing them with kindness. Like had anyone walked past them, they wouldn't have known that anything was really going on. But so much. Well,
they do. Somebody walks past and Emily like stops. She's like, "Oh, stop by our table later, y'all."
Yeah, she's so
and
smooth.
then she just keeps laying into her. And Shira is just like stuck with this fake smile on her face, like, no. And then Richard comes back in, like, where's Emily? I'm ready to get out of here. And he sees Rory on stage, like, being praised for this, organizing this DAR event and putting it all together. And he's like, oh no, what have we done? Like, this is what we've made her. There's nothing wrong with planning DAR events, but Rory's future was on one path and we've let her become this. And it's not what he wanted. And so then he's like, shoot, we have to fix it, which then leads to, they move her out of the pool house. They were very worried that she was just way too intimate with Logan in the pool house. So Emily, like, she's like, oh, we're renovating the pool house, so you have to move back into the main house. So it's like under, so they can keep tabs on her. Tell me about your episode.
So my episode.
Oh, this is good. Yeah.
Yeah. My episode begins with Rory had been living in the pool house, but she's since had to be relocated to the main house. And Emily is just breathing down her neck. I think everyone's growing tired of this arrangement. It's gone on longer than anyone thought it would. Rory's just kind of flitting along, doing her DAR stuff, hanging out with her boyfriend, which is fine, but she's just directionless. Like, she's really not thinking about where she needs to be going and what her next step needs to be. So Emily's breathing down her neck at every turn, and you kind of start to get a taste of exactly what Lorelai probably felt like growing up in that house. And then she's coming back one night from, I think, hanging out with Logan. And thank God, our knight in shining armor, Jess, shows up at her grandparents' house.
He's always just lurking in the shadows.
He's lurking.
Jess is like
he's creepy.
Popping up out of nowhere.
I know, but I liked it at the time. He's weird.
I like it
He's
too.
Awkward. But he like peeks in through the iron gates of the Gilmore compound and kind of surprises Rory. He lets Rory know that Luke kind of let him in on where she was at, and he's come by to visit her to let her know that he's written a book and it's been published. And he wants to tell her that he couldn't have done it without her. And you're like, "Ah, come on." And then my heart's just like singing. I'm like, yes, Jess is back. This is it. Screw Logan. I'm forgetting about him.
Logan who? Yeah.
Logan who?
Well, because
This is her.
they'd started to put some cracks in Logan too at this point. Like
Logan was
Logan
drinking
was,
too much. Logan was
yeah.
really under feeling the pressure from his dad. He was in a
Mm-hmm.
real whiny phase about, what he knew it was coming next. He was graduating a little bit before Rory, so he knew the real world was just knocking at his door.
Meanwhile, she's like flitting around
And
doing DAR stuff. So that had caused some tension in
yeah.
their relationship too. He's like, I'm stressed out about my final year of college. I'm like, what are you doing?
So she has this little chat with Jess in the house, but they have to be really quiet because we don't want to wake up Emily, and it's just so sad that she's like 21 and just so afraid to wake up her grandmother. But yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to cross Emily and have Jess in your bedroom chatting about books. Even it's a no go. So Jess asked to see her the next night and kind of talk a little bit more. They decide to get together the next evening and have dinner. Back in the driveway, Jess shows up on time. They're trying to decide where to go, what to do. And who comes home early from a business trip with his dad but Logan? And he drives up in his Porsche. And I'm like, wait, but I forgot about the Porsche with Logan. Maybe we still like Logan. I'm being torn between these two people. And Logan's so mad and instantly jealous and on edge. And they're just eyeing each other, and you could cut the tension with it. It's so good. The tension between them is so good. So Rory tries to just be very matter of fact. Hi, this is my friend Jess. And she tries to let Logan know that it doesn't have to be a thing. And Logan's already made it a thing 10 miles long. And Logan takes them to his favorite pub for dinner, and it just goes so horribly. They don't even end up really ordering food. Logan's overdrank already. Jess has a beer. Rory has water with like lemon in it or something like that. Like she's just abstaining. Like, I don't need to be drinking in this company. And Logan just acts like a jerk and ends up running Jess off. And Jess kind of holds his own for a while, but he just doesn't really screw around with it. And he's like, I don't have to take this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Rory follows Jess out, warns Logan not to follow her, and Jess finally loses it with her. Like, he'd been pretty non-judgmental the night before, like, oh, you're taking time off, okay, you're doing this, okay, this happened, blah blah blah. But then after seeing just the way Logan acted and the way I guess she acted around him, he was like, what are you doing? This is not you. You have a job at the DAR. You're hanging out with this jerk who drives a Porsche. You left Yale. Why did you leave Yale? And really just calls her out on
Yeah, that line, why did you drop out of Yale?
Yeah,
Is
like who
so
drops out
good.
of
He's
Yale?
like, this is everything you worked for. I knew you. You worked for this. And why are you giving it up? And why are you with this guy? Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Why did you drop out of Yale?
It's so good. Although, I mean, I kind of had some feelings about it rewatching it because it's not like Jess. I mean, we said Jess wasn't that great of a boyfriend to her. And it's
I
been a
know.
while since Jess was around her. So Mr. This isn't you. I'm like, well, how do you know? Like, she's been in college
Right.
for a while now. Like, people change. But I do think that Jess knew the authentic Rory and knew like what her kind of like base values were. And he was able to kind of recall that for her, which is I think what I really liked about him in the series in general is he knew her at this time where she was like really focused on what she wanted to do and what her goals were. And he kind of locked in on that version of her. And he was able to kind of like muster up enough and break the spell, break this like awful spell she was under where she was just feeling insecure and lost. And thank goodness. Do I wish she'd gotten there on her own? Absolutely. But I'm glad he showed up.
Yes.
And then I think also, I do think that when he had written a book and she like held the book and looked at it, she was like a little bit jealous that he'd been able to to make that happen, and like she hadn't really done anything with that. Although I don't think her plan was to like write a book in college, but she was just kind of like, "Ooh, what am
Right.
I doing? Like I'm sitting here holding his book."
Mm-hmm.
There is a side story here that I think is worth noting, and I didn't catch it the first or second time around. But Lorelai now has a dog named Paul
Paul
Anka.
Anka.
And I think he's very much a replacement for Rory in this season of her life. And Paul Anka is acting strange throughout this whole episode. I didn't really love the Paul Anka storyline. I didn't really care about it. She didn't really
No.
seem that attached to him as a
No.
pet in general. But she is concerned about Paul Anka in this episode because he seems sick and he keeps like dragging out shoes from the door. He keeps laying,
Yes.
he like brings the shoes from the front door all the way to Rory's room. He keeps laying in front of Rory's room. He clearly misses Rory. Lorelai, without being said in the episode, clearly misses Rory, and everyone's a little bit Rory sick. And she has this like sleep deprived emotional breakdown. She had slept all night in Rory's room with Paul Anka because he wouldn't eat, and she was just super worried about him, and the vet had said, it's just a bug, let him ride it out. And Luke comes down early in the morning and finds her asleep in the chair, and Paul Anka's been sleeping on Rory's bed. And she has this breakdown about it. And she's like, how did I let this happen? He was trying to tell me to put my shoes on and take him to the vet. That's why he keeps dragging the shoes. And it clearly becomes like a delirious rant about Rory. And how did I let this happen? And then she does say, I'm a
Yes.
terrible mom. And Luke's like just being reassuring. I think Luke knows that it's not about Paul Anka at that point.
It's never just about Paul Anka.
It's never
Nobody
just
cares
Paul
about Paul
Anka.
Anka.
Who cares? But I think it's a really key turning point. But I also felt like it was kind of like a little Easter egg because the shoes were lined up, Lorelai's shoes were lined up from the front door to Rory's room, and I felt like Paul Anka foreshadowed Rory's return. Before Lorelai even knew that Rory had a rough night with Logan and it had kind of started making moves in her own mind of, I'm done with this phase. So I feel like there was some foreshadowing there with the dog.
Okay, so there are some good moments of season 6, I guess, but then it comes into The Prodigal Daughter Returns is the next episode after yours, where Rory comes home. There's this embrace on the lawn. They're all better. And Lorelai's like, hey, Luke, we can finally set a wedding date because Rory's home. Everything's all good. Luke gets jealous that Lorelai gets a phone call from Christopher. And he's like, don't hide anything from me. But then it turns out Luke has a kid named April who's like 13 from his old flame that he didn't know about. But she comes into the diner wanting a DNA test from him because she was a big nerdy girl. And turns out he's the dad, and the mom doesn't want him to be involved, obviously. And she's like Lorelai 2.0. She's written just like Lorelai, but they agree he can see her. But then Luke hides April from Lorelai for episodes. Episodes go by,
Get it.
and he has not told her.
I don't get it.
Because he didn't know how to tell her. Meanwhile, Lorelai's planning this wedding for June 3rd, and like the wedding dress is booked, and all this stuff. And he's like, because he has a secret kid that he hadn't told her about. Eventually, it all comes out. And then my second favorite episode, Friday Night's All Right for Fighting. It's when Lorelai and Rory decide they're going to go back to the Gilmore's house and have a Friday night dinner, and everybody's ice cold in the beginning, and then they just start lashing out at one another. They're getting everything on the table, and it's like 10 minutes straight of them fighting, but then they'll intercut with like, so Lorelai, how's the inn? And she's like, it's good. Luke has a kid. He's like, huh. But then they'll go back to fighting and yelling, and then it's like you can hear
great.
This group, this couple's fighting here and this couple's fighting there, and da-da-da-da-da. And then they're laughing because they're retelling the Shira when she gave Shira Huntsberger the business. And he's like, and by the end, Lorelai and Rory look like they've been beaten up, like run through the ringer, not physically, but just emotionally. And they're like, well, I guess Friday night dinners are back on, and all the Gilmores are happy again, and that's all I want, right? So then we get a vineyard Martha's Vineyard episode, which is not my favorite.
I liked it. I mean, it's a memorable one for me, but
it is.
why, I don't know. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't pick
Luke
it as my
hated Martha's
favorite.
Vineyard. Logan, is like helping Luke woo Lorelai because it's Valentine's Day.
Yeah. He's
Lorelai
got
offers to help
jewelry.
Christopher by babysitting his daughter. Yeah, Gigi, she's horrified by the terrible behavior. I'm trying to just I don't remember these episodes as well. Zach asks Mrs. Kim permission to marry Lane because they were dating, and I didn't like Zach. Did you like Zach?
I think he was too dumb for Lane was a really intelligent woman.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I don't I never understood that relationship, honestly.
Yeah. Rory and Logan break up at one point because she goes to his sister's wedding, and all the bridesmaids basically, she finds out have slept with Logan.
Yeah.
And that didn't go well, but they get back together. Logan goes off to do another Life and Death Brigade stunt and hurts himself, and he's in the hospital, and then she has to talk to Mitchum about Logan being hurt. Lane's wedding. Wait, when was that? Yeah, at Lane's wedding, Lorelai gets drunk and gets up in front of the entire town and is like, you know what won't be happening June 3rd? My wedding. I'm not getting married then. No, no, no.
So embarrassed.
And so embarrassing. And then, of course, Luke wasn't there, but Luke hears about it. Oh, because she
The
does
whole
find out
town's
about the kid
talking about it.
eventually. Yeah, she finds out about the kid eventually. She's hurt, but she's
Yeah.
she wants a relationship with the kid, April. Luke won't let her because he barely has a relationship with April. It's a whole thing. So
The
they
April
postpone the
storyline,
wedding.
I hated.
Hated it too.
I hated
Yeah,
it. Did anyone
terrible.
like that storyline? Like,
No,
we
I
need
don't
to.
think anybody's team April. No. Then season 6 ends. I'll just read it. On the evening of Logan's graduation from Yale, Rory throws him a wild party. But the knowledge that he's being forced to leave for London the next day makes their time together bittersweet. That's not all that happens at the end of the season. Lorelai is upset with Luke because he won't reschedule a wedding date because he's trying to figure out how to be a dad to April, a 13-year-old. So she ends up basically giving him an ultimatum. And he's like, I can't commit to that right now. I don't know what you want me to do. She's like, fine. And she does what the Gilmore Girls do when they don't get their way. They go sleep with somebody. So Lorelai goes and sleeps with Christopher. Yeah. And that's the end of season 6. Now, it's important to note, Amy Sherman-Palladino and her husband Daniel Palladino were the showrunners, creators of Gilmore Girls. They wrote a lot. They spearheaded seasons 1 through 6. Then there were some, I don't know if it's like contract negotiations. They did not come back for season 7.
Oh.
So season 7 was written and led by a completely different group who had been involved in Gilmore Girls, but were not the initial brainchild of the series. So season 7 at times is kind of like a reenactment of what we knew Gilmore Girls to be. Like there's elements that are there, but it's not quite the quippy dialogue. It doesn't all track. Season 7 is widely revered in the fandom as terrible. I think season 6 is worse because Rory and Lorelai aren't together for a lot of season 6, and that bums me out. But season 7 is a struggle, but it starts with Luke and Lorelai are apart. The town is divided. They're not getting back together, I guess. What is your favorite episode of season 7?
Mine is the second to last episode.
Unto the
21.
Breach. Okay, well, mine's 22. So I'll just briefly recap season 7. It's rough.
Surely hers is earlier than mine.
No, it's bad. It's bad, y'all. Because it was this new group of people. And also, they had been handed a big pile of mess, right? Like
it was a mess, yeah.
The Palladinos blew it all up in season 6, and we're like, deuces, y'all figure it out. And I think so. So Lorelai wakes up in bed with Christopher, and everything reminds her of Luke. Logan gives Rory a plane ticket to go to London. Oh, yeah. Kirk and Taylor cause an accident that causes damage to Luke's diner. Luke asks Lorelai to elope, and she's like, it's too late. And he's like, it's not too late. She's like, no, I slept with Christopher. And he storms off. So they're apart. It's sad. I mean, there's an episode where the whole premise is there was an egg hunt, and Kirk was going to hide the Easter eggs and forgot where he hid all the eggs, and it smells like eggs in town. This is where we got to.
Scrape in the bottom of the barrel. Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Lorelai and Christopher start dating, which I thought I wanted. Like, their chemistry was always so good as actors. that I thought I would enjoy this more, but it never landed for me once we actually got
Well, and
there.
like, yeah, and like after all this time, it's like, well, if we can't have Luke, then we would at least want Roy's real dad to be with Lorelai.
Yeah,
But it's not right.
it
It
didn't.
just doesn't
It's
work.
not right. And so on episode 7, Christopher and Lorelai, they go take his daughter to Paris, which is where his Gigi's baby mama moved to, and they're also going to enjoy Paris while they're there. Turns out they get married while they're in Paris.
It's so stupid. Without Rory.
Without Rory.
Without
Rory even knowing.
And just the fact that both of her parents didn't even want to care about her there. Like,
yeah.
not only did
that's a double
Lorelai
whammy.
not care, like her dad didn't. Oh, it's okay. Roy will be happy for it.
Lorelai immediately, like, she looks at the ring when they get back home, Stars Hollow, like, it is burning a hole in her finger.
Yeah.
Like, what have I done? They tell Rory she's actually not that excited about it, but here we are. We get this whole side quest of Logan has a new internet company, and he has a business partner who's a female that Rory gets jealous of. There's a knit-a-thon. There's an episode called Merry Fisticuffs, where it's the only Christmas episode. Lorelai and Christopher get into a fight over wedding plans. And Emily wanted them to have a big party when they got back, I guess. So they weren't agreeing on all of that. We get this whole thing too where Rory has made new friends in college, and one of them is, what's her name? I can see it. She had the black hair,
dark
tall
hair
girl that's been in a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
The RD friends.
So Rory's talking to her. Turns out she's dating Marty, who used to have a crush on Rory, but when they were all hanging out, Marty acts like he doesn't know Rory for some reason. I guess because he still holds a candle for her. And Logan gets jealous of that. And Logan's like, why aren't you telling your friend that Marty knows you? Marty sucks. That was a whole thing. There's a point where Luke actually gets into a fist fight with Christopher in the middle of Stars Hollow Square. Because why not?
Yeah.
They decided to postpone their Christmas celebrations until Rory's back home from London visiting Logan. And Luke does reach out to Lorelai to ask for a character reference because he wants partial custody of April because the mom was going to take April to Mexico, I think, and he would never get to see her unless there's something in place legally for her to see her.
Yeah.
And so she obliges and is going to write this character reference. And she does, and it's beautiful. And she has something in there like, once Luke Danes is in your life, he's in your life forever. And of course, while she's writing this character reference, she's coming to terms like how much she cares about him, stirring up these feelings. And she'd written it. I guess she made a copy and sent it to the lawyers, but the original was in a drawer. And Christopher finds it and reads the words she wrote about Luke, and he gets jelly and is basically like, should we be together? And then it culminates in Lorelai ending things with Christopher, and she's like, you are the one I want to want. You don't know how bad I wanted this to work, but it's just not right. And so they end things.
Whole marriage begun and ended in one season.
Yep, I think. So Rory plans a baby shower for Lane. Oh, because Lane got pregnant on her honeymoon. Like the first time she was intimate with somebody. Poor Lane.
Zach.
And it's twins, isn't it?
Smart.
Yeah, with
it's
Zach.
twins. It's twins.
Oh gosh.
Which is just
let's see. There's a hay bale maze.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah. This season, man. This season.
Logan comes to Stars Hollow, which I did enjoy Logan in Stars Hollow because we've never really seen that. We've seen him in Yale and we've seen them at the Gilmores, but he comes to Stars Hollow. He's trying to make amends with Lorelai, and he's like, I promise I want the best for your daughter. Whatever. Lorelai's car breaks down and she's riding her bike all over town. And Luke frustratingly is like, fine, I'm going to help you find a new car because you're going to get yourself killed. Like, so they go car shopping together, Luke and Lorelai, and the ice starts to thaw between them and they are back to their old school banter. And then Rory's freaking out about what to do after graduation. Lorelai decides to cheer up with a day of pampering, shopping, and eating. And then Lorelai invites Luke to join her and Rory at karaoke night. And everybody, like, we get Miss Patty, we get Babette, we get all the townies up there singing Kirk. And then Lorelai takes the stage and sings I Will Always Love You as Luke Danes walks in the back of the bar. And she's singing right to him. Yeah. And it is such a good scene. Such a good moment. And the whole town knows, like, are y'all picking this up?
Yeah.
They still love each other. But then, of course, Lorelai's stupid, and the next day she was like, no, that was just a song, guys. I was just drinking and singing. It didn't mean anything. And Luke overhears, and he gets in his feelings. Okay, tell me about your favorite episode of season 7, because we didn't love any up to this point. Episode 21, Unto the Breach.
I don't even know. Yeah, and the fact that I picked this episode, I'm like, did I just like it just because we finally got some, like, closure in some things? It's not the last episode, but
Well, that's what I picked. I'm basic like that, so you're
yeah,
better than me.
we're both a little basic in this season because we just didn't have much to work with.
It was bad. It was bad.
But as I have said, I was doing everything that Rory was kind of doing as she was doing it. So I was about to graduate from college. Rory was about to graduate from college. And I do really love this episode because it focuses on the actual graduation day. And there's some just really good, like, scenes that just really, like, evoke memories for me of graduating from college. The big thing here, though, is that Emily and Richard throw a party for Rory the night before her graduation, and it's really sweet. Like, everyone's there, Mom's there, even Christopher's there, and him and Lorelai have, like, kind of a surprisingly, like, civil conversation. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna figure out how to parent our kid as divorced parents eventually. She might be 60, but we're gonna
Yeah.
figure this out. Glad you're here. We're supporting Rory." Emily and Richard are just beaming with pride. They sing this, like, instead of doing a toast for her, they sing this little song for her. And
My
I think
gosh,
it's
I
really
love it.
sweet. Like, it's a little hokey and corny, but it's really sweet. They're so proud. It's a good moment. Of course, Logan is there. Logan's her boyfriend. But Logan comes in at, like, it was just not the moment. It was not the moment. So in an episode prior to this one, it must have been the one right before, Logan went to Stars Hollow and asked Lorelai permission to propose to Rory.
Forgot about
And
that. Yeah.
Lorelai says, yes, you can ask her. But I think Lorelai knows Rory and knows that she may not necessarily say yes. So sure, you can
Yeah.
ask my daughter that.
Sure.
Go ahead
You
and
can
ask her
ask
that
her.
question.
You can
See
ask her
how
anything
it
you want.
goes
Yeah.
for you. And sends him to the wolves, basically, because he gets up after the grandparents have sang their adorable song and chooses this moment in front of everyone to propose to Rory at her graduation party in front of all these people. And I mean, I don't know how Rory did it. Like, I don't know. Thinking about, like, if I was 22 and this had happened in front of all these people, I was like, would I have been able to do what Rory did? And Rory said, can we talk outside for a minute? And then they just kind of, like, scooch off to the side door, and Emily, like, runs up to the piano player, is like, play something now, you know, and tries to get the party going again. Yeah. And Logan's just kind of like, I can't believe she didn't say yes. But I'm like, you idiot. You clearly didn't really know her if you thought she was going to say yes under these circumstances. And she's like, Logan, this is out of the blue. And he says, well, have you never thought about marrying me? She's like, well, yeah, like, hypothetically, it was always a really nice thought, but, like, it's not like they had discussed this, but he'd been thinking about this, and he'd looked at a house to rent because he'd accepted a job in Silicon Valley, and they were going to have an avocado tree. I mean, very wisely, she says, listen, you've had time to think about this and plan for it. This is news to me. This is out of the blue. I haven't had time to think about it. I'm going to need a little time. So somehow she goes to bed that night, I suppose, and wakes up the next morning, and it's graduation day. And I really love the scene, though, where it's Rory and Paris and her two newer arty friends, and they're all kind of, like, having some champagne, about to line up for their ceremony. It's really sweet, and they're all dressed in their cap and gowns, and they all kind of walk off towards the ceremony, like, with their arms wrapped around each other. And I got a little, like, misty-eyed rewatching it, and you just thinking about that time, and it's, like, kind of scary, but the world's kind of your oyster, when you're 22 and graduating from college. Um and then they get to the ceremony, and Emily's kind of fussing about the seats too much, but
She can't help
Richard,
herself.
she really can't, but Richard actually interjects and is like, Lorelai, just sit there, the seats are great, I will take the picture. we'll handle this. You
Mhm.
just enjoy watching your daughter graduate. It's as much your moment as it is hers. And I really loved that he said that. And it was really
Such
sweet.
a
I
good
got
moment.
misty-eyed
Yeah.
again. We're
So
all,
wise.
I
Yeah.
know, and we're all just so excited that the time finally came. Um, this decision about Logan is just looming over her head because he very insensitively proposed to her the night before her graduation. So now her whole graduation day is overshadowed by the fact
Mhm.
that she has to give him her decision, which ends up ultimately being that she says she can't marry him. And
Mhm.
he kind of tells her it's all or nothing. Like, I'm not going to try long distance for you. What's the point? We've done that before. Why would we do it again? Goodbye. And just walks off. He's kind of hurt, kind of got his feelings hurt about it, which I think is a little bit unfair, again, given that it was so out of the
Yeah.
blue. But that's
Yeah.
Logan. And
Yeah.
um
Lots of entitled, selfish people in this show,
yeah,
actually.
totally.
I feel like the least selfish person is probably Suki.
Right.
Suki's just a vibe.
Right.
Suki's a ride or die.
Yeah. But so the episode
Yeah.
ends kind of with Rory and Lorelai packing up Rory's apartment, and and she's like, yeah, I really miss him already. I mean, she loved him, she misses him, but knew it wasn't the right thing. And but she was saying, yeah, now it's always going to kind of overshadow my graduation day. I'm like, how dare Logan do that to her? And I just got like really mad about it. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a good
So
one.
it's a good one. A lot happens, and you kind of get some closure on that relationship.
Leads into my basic pick of the finale, the series finale. It aired May 15th, 2007, 7 years later. Bon Voyage. Rory's plans are thrown into disarray when she is offered her dream job, leaving Lorelai to contemplate life after her little girl moves out. So basically, it picks up, Rory's back home with her mom. She's trying to get jobs. She's figuring out what to do after college, but they are going to take the summer and go to a bunch of amusement parks and ride roller coasters and stuff all summer and watch movies and be together before like the real world kicks in the fall, I guess. And in the meantime, though, weren't they going to do a reenactment of graduation? Was that high school or college? That was
Yes, no,
college,
there was
wasn't it?
talk of that in the episode I just recapped.
Like
The whole town was
Babette,
really
Miss Patty,
mad.
all the townies. The townies were mad they couldn't be at graduation because there was a limited amount of seats. And so, yeah. So the alternative was they were going to do a reenactment in Stars Hollow of her college graduation. Can you imagine being another kid her age in this town and they're like, you could have come to mine.
Why?
Like,
Why do
you
we?
coulda-
Why is she so
okay.
important? Yeah.
Why is she so special? But that all gets thwarted because and I think even Luke was gonna make food, like, everybody was kind of on board to plan this, like, graduation party, but Rory gets a job to go on the campaign trail for this up-and-coming guy who is gonna run for president, Barack Obama.
Barack Obama.
And she gets the gig, and so she can't ride roller coasters this summer. In fact, she needs to be on the bus with the team covering his presidential campaign, like, in, like, a day or 2, and so what are we gonna do? So they're at Friday night dinner, she got the call, and they're all like, "Well, I think we should stay for drinks then. It's the last Friday night dinner for a while," and that got me in my feels. Then Lorelai and Rory are running around trying to get all the supplies she needs for her trip, and Rory's telling Lane bye. She's telling people bye, and she's like, "Lorelai, why aren't you more freaked out about this?" And Lorelai's like, "If I think too much about it, I'm gonna fall apart." So she was like giving her practical advice, which I feel like is a very mom thing to do. Like,
Yeah, you go into
okay,
like
you need to sit by the
directive
window because
mode.
there's a view. You need to do this. You need to do that. And it's a great big world out there. Don't miss anything. And like this inspirational stuff. And then they go the next day. I don't remember where they were going to say goodbye to somebody. Well, it turns out Suki and Luke had planned a surprise going away party, and they were going to do it in the square at Stars Hollow. Well, then it's going to rain, and like the crazy townie who always can predict the rain predicts it, and they're like, no. So Luke stays up late the night before, sewing every tarp and jacket together he can find in the town to make a tent big enough to hold all of these people. And Lorelai and Rory pull up. I guess they were going to get something at Luke's because she had made up with Luke by this point. They weren't together again, but they were like friends. So I guess they were going to Luke's. They pull up, and Jackson, Suki's husband, and Zach, Lane's husband, run out with umbrellas, and it's just pouring rain. And they escort the Gilmore Girls to this big party, and it's this panning shot of every townie, everybody just clapping for Rory
Getting
and so
chills.
happy for her. I cry. I don't cry watching, like, if you listen to the Hallmark episodes, I rarely get teary in those. Josh cries all the time in them, and it takes a lot to get me. I cry every time I watch this scene
Yeah.
because just the panning shot of everybody, it's so well done. It's such a good way to tie a bow on the end of this series. And then like Kirk's DJing the party, and then Richard and Emily show up. They're in Stars Hollow, which they rarely come to Stars Hollow. We see them, and then Emily all along is like trying to get Lorelai to like add on to the inn. And Lorelai's like, "Why do you want me to add a spa? What are you doing?" She figures out it's because Emily wants to give her money so she can continue having Lorelai on the line for Friday night dinners. And finally, Lorelai's like, "How about we just talk about it Friday night, Mom?" And Emily lights up. She's like, "You're still going to come even though Rory won't be there?" She's like, "Yes, I'll still come. Maybe not every Friday, but I'll see you this Friday for Friday night dinner." So they're happy. Richard says some really sweet things to Lorelai, like, "This is all a testament of you and the community you've created for your daughter, and just stand back and take it all in." And it's just so good. It's so good. And then Lorelai thanks Suki for putting it all on because Suki's her best friend. And Suki's like, "I didn't do all of it though. Like, who do you think helped me?" And Lorelai runs into Luke's arms and they kiss as the music swells, and then it pans up and they're party harding. Then the next morning, they are at Luke's diner eating before I guess Rory has to get on the bus for Barack Obama. And the last scene is a zoom out of the girls being served by Luke at Luke's diner. And it's the same last scene as the first episode in the pilot. And are you crying? It is so well done, y'all. I've seen a lot
Such a
of
good
TV
show.
shows. It is such a good episode.
It's
I
so
cry every time I watch the
good.
finale.
Oh, it's so
It's so
good.
good. And some may say it should have ended there. But we've already been talking over 2 hours. We won't spend a lot of time on it. But just real quick.
Yeah, this'll
So
dry up the tears real fast.
this will sober you up. So the Palladinos didn't do season 7, but they had said from the beginning they always knew how they wanted to end the show, and they knew down to what the last final 4 words were going to be. They didn't get to do that because of all this contract stuff or whatever happened. So it was always this thing, well, what would the Palladinos, how would they have ended the show? And they never said. Netflix picked it up in what, like 2017 maybe? I don't have the exact date.
Yeah.
And because I think it was like
It
10
was
years
around
later,
there. It was right
basically.
before I had
Yeah.
my first kid. Yeah. So,
Yes. Yeah, same. And so they released 4, they called them episodes, but they were basically like movies: Winter, Spring, Summer, and Fall, a la Carole King song. And it was a year in the life is what it was called. Gilmore Girls:
yeah.
A Year in the Life. And this way the Palladinos were back. All the original cast, for the most part, all the big hitters were back in some capacity. It was a huge pop culture moment. I was seated for it because I was deep in Gilmore Girls fandom by this point. I couldn't get enough of it. I was listening to the Gilmore Guys podcast. If you are a Gilmore Girls fan, you don't mind some profanity, go to check out the Gilmore Guys podcast because they talk at length, but they bring on comedians. It's a great podcast. It got me into podcasts, honestly. It's probably why I'm here today talking to you because their podcast was so good about how they were episodic. I mean, they were one of the first episodic podcasts out there to do what we do now. But they got to be cameos in it. It was a whole pop culture moment. All the episodes dropped at the same time, and my husband he'd watched Gilmore Girls with me once because he knew how much I loved it. He enjoys it. It's not his favorite by any means, but he loves the quippy dialogue.
He
So
can
we stayed
appreciate
up.
it.
Yes, and we watched all 4 episodes because I was terrified of getting spoilers. And we may have gone to sleep for a couple hours at some point. I just didn't look at my phone. And I think we did. I think before the last episode, maybe we fell asleep and then woke up and finished it. And what are your overarching thoughts about A Year in the Life?
Let me look at my recap. I'm gonna have to refer to my notes here because I mean, I was thrilled that it was coming back. Like I had a coworker at the time who was also thrilled, and we like got together and had a party, and like I made candy sushi like they do in one of the episodes when
Fun.
Rory's Asia trip. Like we were like all on theme. We were here for it.
Yeah.
And I devoured it, but I have to say that it kind of ruined the original series for me for a while. I don't really know why, because you at least get some like closure, but I think that the things that really stood out to me and that really didn't make sense to me were the Logan relationship. I didn't understand why that was in there like that. Like, I mean, we ended the series with her saying she wasn't going to marry him. So why are they like hooking up? I don't. And he's engaged to some other
And not only
heiress.
are they hooking up, he's engaged to an heiress. Yes.
Yeah,
So
so
Rory
she's doing the
still
same
loves
thing.
men
She's
who are
like
unavailable. Yeah.
unavailable. Yeah. And so that really bugged me about it. And then, but I also remember crying at the goodbye scene when they have the last like life and death brigade, like,
Yeah.
but that scene is so weird because it like, have you seen Across the Universe? Have you seen
Yes.
that movie?
Yes. I loved Across the
I
Universe.
love Across the
Yeah.
Universe, but it felt like they just ripped off the scene because they used the same song. It was so
Yes.
weird. And I was like,
So
what am I watching? It was
Winter
like a
picks
fever
up.
dream.
Yes. Winter picks up, and we're not going to go in details. We don't have time. We got to go to bed, y'all. But like, Winter picks up. Rory's coming back to Stars Hollow. It's snowing. I'll say this. I was disappointed in the revival, but I'm never going to not watch some Gilmore Girls. Like, a bad Gilmore
Absolutely.
Girls is still better than anything else I watch for the most part, besides Hallmark
Hmm.
movies. But Rory's back. She's at this crossroads. She had a couple good pieces of journalism, but she doesn't have a regular job. Her clothes are in various places for reasons unknown. She has no money. She's dating a guy named Paul, who we meet for 2 seconds. Luke and Lorelai still aren't married. They never got married, which is fine if you chose to never get married.
Yeah.
But they act like they still want to get married. But why 10 years?
Why are we
What have you
still,
been
why did we
doing?
wait this long? Yeah.
Suki, for logistical real world reasons, was not available to shoot that much, so she's only in the last episode. So they have guests, chefs like Rachel Ray parading in and out at the Dragonfly Inn, which is terrible. Well, and Richard has died. That's probably the
Oh,
in the
yeah.
real world, Edward Herman, who played Richard, passed away, so they had to account for his death. The funeral scenes, although they're sad, are so well done. But then you get this really good scene of Emily and Lorelai yelling in the kitchen at one another because Lorelai basically disrespected Richard at the funeral and said she was drunk and couldn't think of anything nice to say about him. And Emily lashes into her with a fervor only for Netflix. I mean, just GDs flying and all kinds of stuff. We're not on the WB anymore. And that's so good. We go to spring, and Emily and Lorelai are going to therapy, and their therapist is terrible and
Yeah.
not helpful.
And just taking their money.
Yeah. I don't even Luke and Lorelai maybe are gonna have a kid, so they go to like a fertility specialist to be a
Yeah.
surrogate, and
It's so
Paris
weird.
runs the surrogate place. We get cameos aplenty of the past boyfriends and things like that in and out, even down to Digger. Summer, there was a Stars Hollow musical that had so
That
much potential, but like, why weren't Miss Patty and Kirk and all of the townies in the
that was my
musical?
least favorite episode. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead, we
I
get Sutton Foster, who I love, and he is a Broadway singer, but they're in the musical, and Lorelai's like hating on the musical, which is not very Lorelai like. And then they're fat
Mhm.
shaming a guy at the pool, which is weird. Like
That was weird.
they used to not be that bad. They did fat shame a ballerina once
I was gonna say.
earlier in the main run. It was weird. What else? Rory's striking out on job interviews.
Mhm.
And then fall is the best episode of the 4 in my mind for sure, because you get this, Emily ends up, she's going to move to Nantucket. She's selling the Gilmore estate. She's found a maid who she can't understand very well because she speaks some kind of Spanglish, English, whatever language, but she loves her because it was a running gag in the original series. Emily's always firing maids. And so she's
Mhm.
latched onto one maid. She's changed her ways, and she's like teaching at a whale museum or something now.
Yeah, she's like
But
a
she's
tour
really
guide
like
or something, a volunteer.
found peace with herself.
Yeah.
She, quit the DAR. She couldn't stand that life anymore. And then Rory, yeah, there's the fever dream of the Life and Death Brigade, where there's like fog machines in Stars Hollow.
It's weird. I don't get it. But then I got sad and cried at the end of it. So like can't even
Yeah.
say it didn't mean nothing to
Well,
me. I can't say that. Like it
right.
obviously meant something to me.
Well, because then we have Rory is, lost, and so the Stars Hollow paper needs an editor, and she takes over that for free for reasons unknown. And Jess pops in. He's like, you know what you should do? You should write a book. And she decides, she's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a book. He's like, write a book about you and your mom's life. That's fascinating. And she's like, yeah, I should do that.
your Jess
Kind of like,
impression.
well, because it goes back to why did you drop out of Yale? It's like it
Yale.
takes Jess telling
Yeah, why
her
does
to
he
do
always
these
have
things.
to be her voice of reason? Why can't she do this herself?
Because he knows her best.
Oh,
He knows her best, even though they rarely see each
20
other, I
years
guess.
ago.
Mm-hmm. And then Lorelai decides to go find herself, and she's going to do Wild, which like
That
the Reese
was
Witherspoon movie /
silly.
book.
Yeah.
She's going to go camping, but then she can't even make it out camping because of a whole slew of events. But then she has this sweet moment. She remembers Richard. She tells Emily the moment so that they're better now. All their tension is resolved, I guess. Luke and Lorelai are going to get married. When she comes back, she's like, I do want to get married. Don't know why we didn't do that before now.
Why are we just not talking about it?
And then we don't see the big wedding. We see they decide to get married legally the night before in the town square, which was a very pretty scene. And it plays the song that they danced to at Liz's wedding in season 4, which I appreciate. But all the people who are there, it's the Reverend and Michelle and Lane and Rory.
Yeah.
Like Jess isn't there. Luke's sister isn't there. Like it's kind of like, I guess those are the people who were on set that day. Like why is Lane there?
Who's going to be here for the
Why is
last
Lane
day
there?
of shooting? Okay. I'll
Yeah,
write it down.
you're in.
Do you
You're
want
gonna be a witness
turkey
at the
or
wedding
ham for lunch that day?
Exactly. And I'm sure there were logistic things because again, all these actors for the most part have blown up. So like they're booked and busy. This was a quick turnaround filming schedule from what I heard on the streets of the interwebs. But so we get the private wedding because they didn't want to, they wanted it to be intimate before the big celebration the next day. And then the next morning, sun rises, and Lorelai is not with Luke. She's sitting with Rory on the steps of the gazebo. And Rory looks at her and says, Mom? Lorelai, yeah? Rory, I'm pregnant. Fade to black. Those were the last 4 words. The final 4 words. What were your thoughts on the final 4 words? And it's Logan's baby, I guess, right? Because they had that romantic night after the
we've
fever
all had
dream.
this debate over the last 8 years. Whose baby is it? I mean, if Amy Sherman-Palladino's original intent was to kind of like see the cycle repeating, then yeah, it would be Logan's baby. And then some people thought it was the Wookiee's baby, but I don't think it was the Wookiee's baby.
Oh yeah, she had a one-night stand with a Wookiee at some convention thing.
Yeah.
She was trying to be a journalist. It showed just how terrible of a journalist she is. I think Mitchum was right. She didn't have it because she fell asleep interviewing people earlier in spring and like when they went to New York, and it was just like then was it
That's
Paul's
a good point.
baby?
I guess
she
he was
kept dating
right.
Paul. She
And
kept dating Paul on and off and never broke up with him. Meanwhile, she's long distance with Paul. She's long distance with Logan. Logan's engaged. And now she's pregnant with Logan's baby.
So I guess, I mean, what's going to happen, what happened next that we will never get to see, I guess, is that she's pregnant with Logan's baby. She's going to raise it there in Stars Hollow. And is she going to end up with Jess? But isn't she technically
there was that
related
longing
to Jess
look of
now? Isn't she technically related to Jess?
not by blood. I mean,
because that was the thing. I was so excited. I was like, now she can be with Jess.
Yeah.
Like, it's he knew her best or whatever. But and then I started thinking, no.
They're not blood related. No.
Oh, I know they're not blood related. I don't know.
It's weird, but I mean, these girls don't care. They're gonna do it wherever their heart takes them.
Who cares? And they're in.
But I don't know that she liked Jess like that. I could tell. I mean, they put in this shot. One of the last shots is Jess looking longingly into the Gilmore house and watching Rory before the wedding. And they obviously included that to show he still has feelings for her. But she didn't act like she had feelings for him. She just wanted his free ideas to write a book. And that was another thing. Lorelai was like, no, don't write a book about my life. It's my life, Rory. What are you doing? And she's like, why won't you let me write a book exploiting your terrible life? Like, who's going to read if it's just about Rory's life? Nobody's going to read that. Rory's boring.
Yeah.
And then at the end, Lorelai agrees to let her do it because it's just what she needs to do. And it's going to be called Gilmore Girls.
It's a nice idea. It's Yeah, but then the whole mom, I'm pregnant, which although I don't know how we were supposed to feel about it because it's not as if, I mean, it's not a tragedy. She's not 16,
No. Right.
you
Right.
know,
She's
it's
a
not,
I mean, she was what, mid-30s at this
like
point? Like, it's not
32, 34.
at least early 30s. Yeah.
So, and Lorelai looks kind of horrified from the proof, from what I could see.
Yeah, she kind of like
But again, it's
gasps.
not like
Yeah.
she's a child. I mean, yeah, she's in a
Right.
transition. She needs to get a job and be able to support said
She has
baby.
no paying job, and I'm sure if I were Lorelai, I would be like, whose baby is it?
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I guess she
Maybe
did
that was
allude
the
to
look
she
on her
knew she was
face.
hooking up with Logan. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a choice.
Do
And
with
I
it what
really
you
thought
will.
there were so many unfinished storylines in the revival that I thought
Mhm.
for sure they were setting it up for another extension, like, or a new spin-off
Mhm.
series or something, but it's been however many years and we have not gotten anything else.
I feel like there's been
So,
more talk about it this year just because of the 25th anniversary. People are saying, "Is it gonna come
mhm.
back?" But I'm like, "Do we need to? Don't do a revival to me again.
Yeah.
Don't hurt me like that again."
Oh, but I'll watch it. Just to be
Yeah,
clear,
I'll
I will
watch it,
watch
but
it. If
it's
the
gonna take me
Palladinos are watching this,
years.
I'll watch it.
It's gonna take me
Yeah,
years to get over again and be able to watch the original series.
I know. It was a different beast. But I'm glad if they'd never done it, I would have always wondered, you know?
Yeah,
So they did it. And like they did some fan service things, like we met Mr. Kim in the revival because they
fair.
never show
Yeah,
Lane's dad.
fair.
But
Yeah,
I didn't need that. I just assumed Lane's mom was a single mom.
that's what I assume.
Did we just it was a choice. So, anyways, all of that to say, it's been nearly 3 hours. You've given me too much of your time. I'm sure your family has all but given up on you, as mine has. They've been long asleep. So let's wrap it up,
Okay.
please. I could talk another 3 hours, but we won't. So if you've made it this far, I'll probably have to split this up into 2 episodes.
That's fair. Yeah.
We'll say
And
it.
do a lot of
But
editing.
anyways, yeah, that's okay. So that was so fun. Thank you, Christina, for being here. Do you want to
Thank
tell people where they can
you.
connect with you online? Do you want to promote your
Sure.
banner biz?
Oh yeah, I can promote the Banner Biz. So I'm just Christina. I just hang out here in my small town that's not Stars Hollow. But I did recently start a hand-painted banner business. It's sort of a passion project of mine. Yeah, I studied art in college and am just now coming back around to art in a new way that has a lot less pressure on it than it did back in the day. So I am at 615 Banner Co. on Instagram. And then if you just go straight to Instagram, it links to everything else. And yeah, take a look, browse around. Even if you don't need a banner, it's just kind of a fun community. And it's been really good for me. I've been doing it for a few months now. So yeah, thank you. And thank you,
My husband
Jennifer.
had you make me a birthday banner, and I will tell you, it's been almost 2 months and it's still hanging up in my house because
I love
we
it.
used an inappropriate tape, and I think it might peel the drywall off when it
No.
comes down. So it's I
So
see
maybe
it every
I should
day. It's
advise on what kind of tape people should
No,
use when
that's not
hanging the
you.
banner. Okay.
That was an oopsie doodle on our part, but it's a permanent fixture in my home now.
Oh, thank you. Hey, it was made with love. I was so excited to make that for you. It was really fun. And yeah, I love it. So
We'll post the links to all of Christina's stuff on our socials. And hey, guys, did we get this right? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? We know you have thoughts. If you're into Gilmore Girls, even a smidgen as much as we are, please let us know below and sound off in the comments. That, friends, is another episode of Do You Watch What I Watch? If you like this episode, subscribe to us on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Special thanks to Nick Schwartz, as always, for our theme song. He wrote, sang, and produced it. And if you didn't hear, Nick also produced a Hallmark song that's being used on the promos for Countdown to Christmas. And we interviewed him on another episode that I will link here on YouTube. So if you haven't checked it out yet, please do, because the story of how that song came to be is wild, and you're going to want to hear it. All right, next time we are going to be talking with Josh about another Christmas movie, so stay tuned to our socials to see what we're going to cover there. One thing is for sure, we will have much to discuss, but until then, may your days be merry and bright. And Christina, I'm pregnant. No, not really. Wouldn't that have been
huh?
amazing?
Huh?
Bye, y'all.